Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. This video is going to be another story time for you guys, and it is going to be telling you all about the time how I thought I was going to burn my fiance's apartment down. Now, I feel like I just shouldn't be allowed to like touch anything or do anything because I have a previous story time on my channel about how I thought I was gonna like burn down my school's cafeteria. If you haven't seen that story time video, I will link that down in the description box. But yeah, a few months ago, I thought I was gonna burn my fiance's apartment down, and now that I think about it, it was like actually, you know, really like silly, and I was being so dramatic, and it's kind of funny to think about now, so I thought I would share it with all of you guys. So yeah, if you would like to hear about the time that I thought that I was gonna burn my fiance's apartment down, then just keep on watching. All right, so this was actually back in July. I think it was like right before the 4th of July, because I remember we were going on like a tubing trip on the 4th of July, and the weather forecast was kind of iffy. Like they were saying like it was gonna rain. So yes, I sat down. I don't remember if it was like the day before or maybe a couple days before, but I sat down to watch the weather because I obviously wanted to keep an eye on the weather for the 4th to see if our tubing trip was going to work out or not. So yeah, I sat down to watch the news and wait for the weather forecast. This was later in the day. I think Luke was already out of work, and he was going I think disc golfing with some of his friends. So he just left. I sat down, I turned on the TV, and all of a sudden, he has two different speakers, like a sound bar and like a different speaker. And I noticed the sound on the TV or coming from one of the speakers was kind of like weird. It was kind of going in and out, and it sounded almost muffled, which I thought was really weird. And it wasn't going away. It was just kind of not necessarily getting worse, but it wasn't going away. So I just like muted and turned off the speakers because I didn't necessarily need the sound on. I just needed like to see the weather forecast. So that's what I did. I turned off the speakers, I muted the sound and all that sort of stuff. And all of a sudden I smell something burning. Like it smelled, or I didn't think it was necessarily something burning, but it just smelled like plastic. So that's kind of what made me think like something's like burning. Like I didn't know where it was coming from. Like I was kind of looking around, and then I went into the kitchen. I was like, crap, did I like put something on the stove, and the stove was on and it was like melting the plastic or something. I was looking around everywhere, and then all of a sudden I look towards the TV and I see smoke, and I immediately freaked out. Like I saw the smoke, and at the time when I first noticed the smoke, I didn't see exactly where it was coming from. And I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, like we have like TV, you know, the cable box, the internet thing, the router, we have PlayStations, we have speakers, we have all these different plugs, and I was freaking out. I was like, where is this coming from? And obviously with all the plugs nearby, I was like, oh my God, this is gonna start like an electrical fire. Like it's probably gonna blow. Like, oh my God, what do I do? I immediately start crying, and I started to kind of like look around a little closer, and I noticed it was, the speaker. Now we have it, the sound bar, which that wasn't smoking. We have another like box speaker. I don't know what the technical name for it is, but it was the bigger speaker, and it has like a little like hole thing in it. I don't know. As you can see, I'm very tech savvy when it comes to speakers. But anyways, as I got a little closer to kind of investigate where the smoke was coming from, I noticed it was coming from that big speaker, and the little like hole thingy that's on the front of it, that's where it was like coming out of. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And then again, I started to freak out more. I was like, okay, like there's smoke, obviously something's burning. What if there's like a fire in there? Like what if it like ignites everything? What if it explodes? And like, what if I get little shards of plastic everywhere? What if it gets into my eye? I freak out a lot about a lot of things, if you haven't noticed. So what I did, I immediately called my fiance, and I was crying, I was freaking out, and I was like, oh my God, the speaker's burning, I don't know what to do, it's gonna start a fire, everything's gonna explode. And I just kept saying to him, I was like, I don't know what to do, what do I do, what do I do, what do I do? And he was like, unplug it. And I was like, oh, that would probably be a good idea. You guys, when I say like I'm stupid, like I really am. Like I am definitely not the brightest crayon in the crayon box. Like I just don't think of things. Like I just freak out. That's all I know how to do. And so like I was like, oh, okay, I'll unplug it. And I didn't know, obviously, because we have like a long like thingy with everything plugged into it, I didn't know which plug was for the speaker, so I just immediately unplugged everything. And my fiance was like on the phone. He was like, okay, did you unplug it? And I was like, I think so. I just unplugged everything that was plugged in because I didn't know what the plug was for, or like which plug went to the speaker. He was like, why would you do that? Just follow the cord to the speaker, and then the cord that is like connected to the speaker and plugged in, just unplug that one. And I was like I just didn't even think of that. I just saw the plugs and I just unplugged everything. I apologize, my battery on my other camera died, so I hope the quality isn't too off. But anyways, so yeah, I just quickly unplugged everything, and then my fiance was still on the phone with me, and he was like, okay, like everything's unplugged, it's okay, like are you good? And I was like still freaking out, still crying, and I was like, no, I'm not good, because even though everything was unplugged, like the speaker was still smoking, and I didn't know what to do about it. I was like, it's still smoking, like what if there's like a little fire or something in the speaker and it's obviously gonna get worse, like I don't know what to do. And I just continued to freak out, and I just told my fiance, I was like, please just come home, which I feel so bad doing that, because the disc golfing place that him and his friends went to, or were on their way to, is not close by necessarily, at least to where my fiance lives. So I know he was really happy with me that I made him come home, but I was freaking out, crying. I sounded like a little 2-year-old. I was like, please just come home. Like I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. Like it's still smoking. Like I'm freaking out. Please just come home. And he was like so annoyed, and he was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, just come home. So yeah, he came home. I'm still crying, still freaking out. Of course, by the time he got home, the speaker was like done smoking, but you could still smell it. And even when you went near the speaker, you could definitely smell that something was burning or something like melted within the speaker. So yeah, my fiance came home, and even though it wasn't smoking, he smelled everything and whatever, and he was like, okay, yeah, definitely something went wrong. And he asked me what happened, and I told him everything. And so the next like 5 minutes, he just spent like holding me, because I was still crying and freaking out. Like, I don't know, maybe some people wouldn't think that's a big deal, but like that's just me. Like I just freak out over the littlest things. And again, I didn't know what was happening. Like I didn't know, again, if there was like a little fire in the speaker or anything like that. So I was freaking out. I eventually kind of calmed down, and that was basically it. Like I truly thought that something like horrible was gonna happen. So yeah, and where we are today, obviously we are not using that speaker. We do still have it. I don't know what kind of warranty my fiance has on the speaker. It's obviously his speaker. I know nothing about speakers because my fiance mentioned that he wants to like bring it in and have them look at it, because I guess the speaker isn't that old. And I don't know, again, I don't know anything about speakers, but my fiance basically said that it shouldn't have broke when it did. Like it should have lasted way longer than it did. And even he said like he doesn't know if they can do anything, but he still wants to like bring it in eventually and see you know, if they can work on it, if they can work something out, because it's too new for it to break the way it did. This would probably make a lot more sense if I knew like what I was talking about and actually used correct terms. But yeah, that is the story time about the time how I thought I was gonna burn my fiance's apartment down. And I think we've learned through these couple story times that I have on my channel that I just shouldn't be allowed to touch microwaves or speakers or any sort of electrical technology thing ever again. So yeah, that is it for this story time. I really hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And if you enjoy story time videos, make sure to check out the other story times that I have on my channel. I'm pretty sure I have a full playlist of story times, so make sure to check that out. And yeah, that's all that I have for you guys for today. So I hope you all are having a wonderful day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye everyone.